Welcome to United Under Liberty, and my name is Derek. I have a really important question. I've been watching the Republican debates, and as you all know, it's political season, so this is a time that it's very critical for our nation. And so I've been really wondering, after going through many of years, just constantly hearing the same speeches, basically telling me what I want to hear. Of course, who doesn't want a job? Who doesn't want the taxes to decrease? Those type of things that really, pretty much can, designed to get your vote. But my question is not so much of the political candidate, but America. Yes, John Q. Public. I want to know, does America really want change? Or is that something that just sounds good? Do we? Because I don't know about you, but true change takes sacrifice. True change takes perseverance. True change takes adjustments that you really don't want to do because it hurts to do it. But it's necessary if you're going to reach your goal. And I just don't know if America, are we ready to make that sacrifice to really make it happen? Because, most of the time I've seen as far as with the political candidates, they tell us what we want to hear, but we may not, what we want to hear may not be what we need. We may need someone, a candidate, to tell us, hey, it's going to be hard. For the next 4 years, we're going to have to cut our expenses in our home to pay this debt off. We're going to have to cut the government to pay this debt off. We're going to have to make some real sacrifices. Now, if a candidate isn't bold enough to speak to the nation, to his nation, I don't care if you're a king, I don't care if you're a president, you should have enough fortitude to be able to stand up in front of the mic and speak to your nation boldly, whether it's going to be, sacrifices needed or whatever changes are necessary, because you know that this is, the correct thing to do. Will it hurt? Yes, it will. Will it be the most popular thing? Probably won't. But is it necessary? That's the main goal. So I'm wondering, does America really want change? Because we continue to allow ourselves every 4 years to listen to these political candidates tell us everything that we want to hear that never happened. Let me say that again. They tell us everything that we want to hear, but it never actually manifests. And then we go through the cycle again, saying, well, it's going to be better when someone else comes in. Or, it's going to be better if a Democrat comes in. Oh, no, we need a Republican now. And all along the way, it's getting worse and worse. And we're getting further and further away from our liberties that many of people died for. Democrat or Republican, black or white, or any other nationality. And so I'm asking, America, do you want change? Do you really want to do what's necessary to get this nation back to where it once was? And so that's my question I'm posing today. My second question is, why do we continue to believe candidates with no track record of real change? These individuals have no track record of real change. I'm talking about real societal impact change. Yes, they work for corporations. Yes, they went to some of the top schools. But that doesn't necessarily translate into real change. So I'm wondering, why do we continue to believe? Not necessarily the candidate, because the candidate job is to convince us, to tell us basically what we want to hear to get our vote. But my question is, why do we continue to believe these individuals? Because at some point, fool me once, fool me twice. And so it's on me. So it's on us at this point. We've been fooled year after year after year after year, and we continue to believe it. And that's a scary thing. We've gotten to a point that we came up with these principles that, oh, we're free, we're independent. You know, we can create businesses, we can go to school, we can really be successful in this country. But now we've grown very dependent upon our government. And yes, they do have a role, which is a very small role based upon the Constitution, but the main role is us, the people, we the people. So I'm asking you all, why do we continue to believe candidates with no track record of real change? Also, what is the real truth about the national debt, according to presidents? Because I hear, you know, when the political time comes around, we like to quote people all the time, you know, depending upon which political party you with. They'll quote Bill Clinton. The other party will talk about Reagan. But if you look, and you can do this, matter of fact, even as I'm talking, I would admonish you to go onto Google and pull up, just type in national debt by presidential term. And what it's going to do, it'll have its multiple options there. And you can click on one. The one I'm actually looking at here is by, I believe, skymachines.com. Looks pretty accurate for the most part. I mean, you can compare and contrast. I would recommend pulling up maybe 2 or 3 different ones and just see how, you know, how close they are in their percentages. But I think, nevertheless, at least gives us a basic idea of the national debt. If now this particular one actually goes back to 76 with President Ford at that time, and looking at the balance, that was definitely a long time ago considering our situation now, was 653 billion. Okay, now if you were to follow the chart on up to today, to President Obama. Now let's look at the next president after Ford, Carter. Now Carter went from 653 billion to 930 billion. President Reagan went from 930 billion to 2.6 trillion. Bush, the father, went from 2.6 trillion to 4.1 trillion. President Clinton went from 4.1 trillion to 5.6 trillion. President Bush II went from 5.6 trillion to 10.69, or you can say 10.7 trillion. President Obama went from 10.7 to currently we're looking at 16 plus trillion, and this is just January, and as we all know, he just asked for 1.2 trillion additional, and that's going to probably last us a few months or so, and we'll be back asking again. So you can, if do rough mathematics on it, probably looking at, by the time the end of his presidency, roughly 20 trillion in deficit for the nation. So if we look at this, that no president since 76, and it's probably way before that, and I didn't even go back that far, has never really cut any, has never really lowered the deficit. The only, we can say Clinton in 2000, it went down maybe 100 billion roughly. But what is that when we're talking about trillions? So most of the time, on average, it goes up after a president leaves his 4 terms, at least $1 trillion. You know, most of the time roughly 1 to 2 trillion. And you know, some presidents have went even higher, as we know. We know Bush roughly 4 to 5 trillion, and Obama is set is on basically on a pace to overtake Bush's deficit. So whether Democrat, whether Republican, none of them have actually really paid down anything. And that's the truth. And you can look it up for yourself. So the question is, America, okay? We're not talking about them because they're going to continue to follow the lobbyists and, the big mega corporations and things of that nature. But we as American people, this is a democracy, so it should be a nation by the people and for the people. Do we really want change? And why do we continue to believe in candidates with no track record of real change? And why is the national debt continue to grow no matter what the political party affiliation is? So I'm looking for real answers to those questions. I don't want answers that, oh, it's the Democrats' fault, oh, it's the Republicans, oh, it's this and that. No. As we can see, the facts show no matter who the party was, it always increased at the end of their term. By the end of their term, it has always increased. So we've never really made any real progress. So I'm gonna leave it there. I'm definitely gonna come back with some more topics and discussions, but I thought it'll be something good just to kind of think about and just to kind of start a discussion on. So I look forward to really reading your comments, and if you have any questions, definitely post those up as well, and I will definitely answer those. Okay, well, thank you for listening to United Under Liberties. I look forward to hearing from you all, speaking with you again. God bless.